In this lecture, we will learn how to install Red Hat 8. In your Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager, click on New. Here we can name our VM. Let's call it Red Hat 8. Make sure the type is Linux. And currently I'm installing Red Hat 8 64-bit. Click Next. Here you can choose your memory size. I'm going to choose 2 GB. Click Next. Create a virtual hard disk now. Create. And we will leave this at the default. VirtualBox disk image. Click Next. Dynamically allocated is fine. If you're using it in a real environment, then fixed size may give you better performance. For the lab environment, dynamically allocated is fine. Click Next. I'm going to change the size and I'm going to make it 24 GB. Click on Create. Now you will see the Red Hat VM listed in here. It will show powered off. Right click on it and click on Settings. Over here will show you the name, type is Linux, Red Hat 64-bit. That looks fine. I'm going to change the shared clipboard to bidirectional. Same for drag and drop. This is optional setting. We can uncheck the floppy here. And if you're using a tablet, laptop to do this, then you can change it to USB tablet. Otherwise, when you start installing, your mouse will disappear. So if you start installing and your mouse disappears, you need to come back and change this setting. If not, you can leave it at the default setting. It shows the processor here. You can add 2 or more if you like. I'm going to leave it at default. Display is fine. Let's add our DVD or the CD. The ISO you downloaded, Red Hat 8. You need to add that here. Currently shows empty. So click on this drop down right here, the CD icon, and then choose wherever you have downloaded the ISO. Currently the one I see here is RHEL, Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8, 64-bit, and that's the one I'm going to choose. Next is the Network tab. Click on Bridge Adapter. If you want to connect to the internet, in most cases you would want to use Bridge Adapter, and if you're using a wireless adapter, it will show up in here. If you're using Ethernet adapter, then choose that. Click on Advanced tab. Change promiscuous mode to allow all. And that's all the settings we need to check at this point. Click OK. And now let's right click and go under Start. Click on Normal Start. Click on View and change it to scale mode so you can adjust the screen so you can view the screen better. If this is the first time you're using this ISO, it's a good idea to test this media and install Red Hat Enterprise Linux. I have used it before, so you can use the up and down arrow keys. And I'm going to select Install Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. Hit Enter. And if your mouse disappears here, you can click on the right control key to get it back. And if you click on this screen, your mouse will disappear again. Again, it's the right control key to get your mouse back. On this page, you can select your language. Currently, English is selected. English United States, and that's what I need to use. And if you want to change your language, you can change it here. Click on Continue. At this page, you will have several options. You can check the language again. You can also change the time and date. Currently, America's in New York time zone. That's correct for me. If you want to change it, you can click here and change it. Installation source, let's click on that. Currently it's showing our DVD here. We don't need to change anything. I'll just click on done. Under software selection, click on software selection. Here you can pick and choose whatever add-ons you want to add. And there'll be a long list. If you want to add FTP server, you can check that box. I don't want to check that, but just go through the list and see what else you would need to do. And if you don't need to check any of these, just go through the list so you get an idea of what's available to you. Under the server, you will have many options as well. I'm going to check the GNOME, and that's all I will need to check at this point. Click on done. Next we will click on the installation destination. Our hard disk is there, 24 GB that we added. Storage configuration is automatic. Let's do custom. Once you check custom, you can click on done, and then it will let you do the custom partitioning. First thing we want to do is add /boot. But before you do that, if you are installing this not on a virtual environment, currently I'm using VirtualBox. If you're using this on a laptop, and if you had previous data on your laptop, it would show up in here. Before you proceed, you should delete everything that you see in here. If you're using VirtualBox, then this is what you will see. So if you click on plus sign, let's start with /boot. Let's give it 1 GB. Click on add mount point. Almost always you want to use standard partition. You almost never want to use LVM for /boot. There's only some rare cases when you would need to use LVM for /boot. Otherwise, you never want to use LVM for configuring a boot partition. By default, it's XFS file system. If you want to change that, you can change it here. I'm going to leave it as default. And now let's start creating our regular partitions. Let's start with / or root. Let's make it 5 GB. Add mount point. Now one important thing to see here is when you're creating LVM, your volume group will be listed here. And it will just be 0 bytes. It will just add the 5 GB. But if you want to create all your partitions with one volume group or under one volume group, then you need to assign rest of the space to that volume group, which you can do by clicking on modify. Let's name this volume group RHEL VG, and let's make it as large as possible. We will assign it rest of the disk space that we have available. Click on save. Now as you can see, we have 18 GB free, and currently we're assigning 5 GB to /, and the name is root. I'm going to change it to root LV so I know it's a logical volume. Device type is LVM, and that's correct. We're creating a LVM partition. File system is XFS. We will leave it as default, and let's add some more partitions. Click on the plus sign again. Let's go through the list. Click on /home. Let's add 2 GB for /home as well. Click on add mount point. And now all the settings will still be the same as we assigned to / or the root volume or the root partition. And we can leave everything as is. The only thing that I want to change is the naming convention. I will name it home LV. Click on the plus sign, add another one. Let's add swap as well. Let's assign 2 GB to swap. Add mount point. The only thing different here will be the file system for swap is swap, and that's what you want. Everything else will be pretty much the same. Naming convention, I'm going to add LV in the end. So when I look at it, I know it's a logical volume. Click on the plus sign. Let's add some more. Let's add /var. And let's give /var 2 GB. All the settings are still the same, and we'll just add LV at the end of the name, so it's var LV. And you can decide on the naming convention as you like to see it. This is just an example of how you can accomplish this. And again, if you're not sure how much space is left, you can look here, RHEL VG, which is the volume group, you still have 12 GB free. Let's add another one. Let's add /var/log. Let's give it 2 GB as well. Add mount point. Actually, I'm going to hit cancel. Let me change the name here. Let's name it var_log LV. Let's add another one. Let's add /tmp. Let's give it 2 GB as well. Add mount point. Change the name. Everything else is still the same. LVM XFS, and you still have 8 GB free. Let's add another one. Let's add /srv. Let's give it 2 GB. Add mount point. Change the name. And that's all I need to do right now. And I'm going to click on done. And this is just an example. You can create the way you want to design your system. It will show you what you did. It's not very easy to understand what it's showing you, but you can look at it and see if everything looks fine. If you're not satisfied with what you're looking at, you can cancel and return to custom partitioning. I'm satisfied with it. I'm going to click on accept changes. Now let's move on to network and host name. Let's change the host name. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call it Red Hat 8. Click on apply. Let's click on the configure tab. And you can check out all these settings in here. What we need to check here is click on general tab. Make sure this is checked. This is very important. And then click on save. Another thing you want to make sure is this is on. So your Ethernet adapter is on and you have an IP address listed here. If you don't have it on, you may not be able to connect to the internet. You may have to troubleshoot. So make sure this stays on and then click on done. We don't need to check anything else right now. You can click on begin installation. So while the installation is starting, you can choose the root password at this point. Confirm the password. Click on done. And let's also create a user. I'm going to call this user Linux. Make sure you check this box. Make this user administrator. Type in the password and then confirm the password. Click on done. Now once you do that, the installation is still going on. Depending on the speed of your computer and what software you decided to install, it will take anywhere from 25 minutes up to an hour. I will edit this video so you don't have to stare at the installation screen the whole time. But next thing you should see is you will eventually get to the screen where you will see reboot. It will show you the software or the operating system has been installed. Click on reboot. Once the installation is done, you'll get to this page. It will say Red Hat Enterprise Linux is now successfully installed and ready for you to use. Go ahead and reboot to start using it. Click on reboot. Keep in mind that your CD is still mounted, so it will try to boot from that CD. As you can see, it's giving us the menu to install. So what we need to do is shut this down, remove the DVD, and then try to start our server. So you can click here to just cancel it out. and then power off the machine. Hit OK. Go back to your Oracle VM VirtualBox Manager. Right click on the server you just created. In our case, it's Red Hat 8. Click on Settings. Go under Storage. This is the DVD ISO that's mounted right now. Click on that CD icon here. And then click on Remove Disk from Virtual Drive. Hit OK. And now right click on it. Go under Start and click on Normal Start. You can see your kernel here, 4.18, Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And eventually you'll get to this page. You will see license information, license not accepted. Click on that. Check the box, I accept the license agreement. Click on Done. Click on Finish Configuration. Then you'll get to this page and you can click on the user Linux that we created and we can log in with that user. Type in the password for the user. Click on Sign In. And now we're logged in. And this is how Red Hat 8 looks like. This is the desktop version. And you may see some things pop up when you log in for the first time. And you can click Next as long as your language is correct. Click Next again, and click Next, and then you can skip this one. Now I will say you're ready to go, start using Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Click on that. You'll see something else pop up again, getting started. You can close this out. Now you can click on Activities. Here you will see your menu. If you want to open up the terminal, you can click on Terminal right here. And this will start your terminal. Let's do a cat. Type in Red Hat release. Hit enter. As you can see, Red Hat Enterprise Linux Release 8.0 is already installed. And currently we're logged on to our system. Next thing we will check is if we are connected to the internet. So we can ping Google. Ping google.com. As you can see, we can ping Google. I'm going to press Ctrl+C to cancel out of that. Red Hat 8 is installed with custom partitioning and we are connected to the internet. We were able to ping google.com. Let's close the terminal. You can type in exit here. And then let's power off the machine. To power off the machine, click on this icon right here and then click on the power button here. Click on power off and your machine will proceed to power off. Now if you need to restart that server, you can just right click, click on Start, click on Normal Start to start the server back up. This concludes this lecture, Red Hat 8 install with custom partitioning.